The clear waters of the Caribbean were peaceful, but Cheryl's heart was racing. As a seasoned diver and amateur historian, she knew these coral reefs like the back of her hand, especially this specific stretch known for its history of Asian pirate loot. Dozens of Spanish ships have met their end here centuries ago, leaving their treasures buried under the shifting sands. Cheryl always kept her eyes wide open for a glint of history. Today, she was just enjoying a routine dive. Her dive boat moved slowly above her, its engine humming a reassuring rhythm as it followed a straight path. Cheryl swam a few meters below the surface, watching a small pod of dolphins glide effortlessly through the water. They were playful, twisting and turning in the blue. Suddenly, a bright flash of light caught her attention. One of the larger dolphins had something caught on its dorsal fin. As the dolphin rolled, the object caught the afternoon sun filtering down through the waves. It gave off a brilliant metallic shine. Cheryl froze in mid-swim, her eyes widening behind her dive mask. It looked bright and unmistakably golden. Her mind immediately raced back to the old stories of sunken pirate galleons. Could it be a piece of lost treasure? Cheryl kicked her fins gently, keeping her distance so she wouldn't scare the pod. While the dive boat continued its steady path directly above them, the dolphin swam with a proud, bouncy rhythm entirely unbothered by the object resting against its fin. Every time the mammal titled its body, the golden item flashed a deep, rich amber color. It looked like a thin sheet of gold, or perhaps a fragment of a royal crown. The area they were swimming through was famous for maritime mysteries. For generations, local divers have shared tales of lost bullion and jewelry scattered across the seabed after a fierce storm destroyed a pirate fleet in the 17th century. Cheryl had always been a bit skeptical about those legends, viewing them as fun stories for tourists, but seeing this incredible glow right before her eyes changed everything. She checked her oxygen gauge. She had plenty of time left. Her focus was entirely locked on the glistening object. It didn't look like marine debris, nor like trash. It possessed a warm luster that only precious metals seemed to hold under the ocean. The dolphin seemed to be showing it off, leading her further along the reef. The dolphin pod slowed down, hovering near a massive wall of brain coral. Cheryl adjusted her buoyancy, floating effortlessly in the mild current. She watched the treasure-bearing dolphin loop around its companions. Up close, the object appeared to be slightly curved, clinging to the edge of the fin as the water pushed against it. It was incredibly bright. Acting like a mirror for the sunbeams dancing through the water, Cheryl's mind spun with possibilities. If it was a piece of pirate gold, how had the dolphin found it? Perhaps the creature had nudged a sandy mound near an old wreck, or maybe the artifact had been dislodged by a recent storm. Dolphins were notoriously curious animals, known for picking up objects that caught their eye. It made perfect sense that a shiny, valuable relic would attract one. She looked up briefly to ensure that she was still aligned with the shadow of her boat. The captain was doing a wonderful job of tracking the dolphins at a safe, respectful distance. Cheryl looked back down, her excitement building. She felt like an explorer on the verge of historic discovery, and the golden object seemed to whisper secrets of ancient sailors, sea battles, and forgotten wealth. The dolphin seemed to notice Cheryl's steady gaze. It separated itself from the rest of the pod and swam in a wide, elegant circle around her. Cheryl held her breath, completely captivated. The golden object was just a few meters away now. It looked perfectly metallic. She could almost picture the old Spanish markings that might have stamped onto the surface. She took a slow, deep breath through her regulator, trying to calm her racing pulse. This was the kind of moment every diver dreamed about. It wasn't just about the momentary value of the gold, it was the sheer thrill of the mystery. The dolphin clicked happily, releasing a small trail of silver bubbles that floated past Cheryl's mask. Adding to the magic of the scene, the artifact remained securely wedged against the dolphin's fin, defying the drag of the water. Cheryl wondered if the metal was more like foil to have somehow molded slightly around the fin, holding it in place. It looked secure, a permanent part of the animal's playful outfit. She kept her eyes glued to the brilliant yellow hue, waiting for a chance to get an even closer look. Just as Cheryl thought about moving a bit closer, the dolphin did a sharp doise flip in the water. The sudden movement created a small swirl of the current. In that exact instant, the water pressure shifted and the golden film slipped away from the dolphin's fin. Cheryl's heart leaped into her throat as she watched the treasure begin to drift freely through the open water. Time seemed to slow down. Cheryl reached out a hand instinctively, though she was too far away to catch it. She expected the object to sink rapidly like a heavy piece of metal plunging straight down toward the deep reef below. If it hit the ocean floor, it might get lost in the thick coral, and she would lose her chance to verify the incredible find. Surprisingly, the object didn't sink like a stone. Instead, it tumbled softly, dancing and spinning in the water column. It floated gracefully, catching the light one last time as it drifted just a few feet above a patch of white sand. The dolphin immediately noticed its lost toy and spun around in a tight circle, diving gracefully downward to retrieve its prized possession before it could drift away. The dolphin swam beneath the floating object, expertly catching it against its fin once again with a quick practice nudge, but in those few seconds, while the object had floated freely in the clear water, Cheryl had leaned in close. The illusion vanished in a heartbeat, replaced by a wave of gentle laughter that rippled through her dive mask. It was not a bar of pirate gold, not an ancient artifact from a sunken Spanish galleon. It was a large golden yellow autumn leaf. That leaf must have fallen into the sea from a tree along the coast, drifting out into the deep blue lagoon. The salt water had preserved its bright, vibrant color, and the tropical sun had turned it into a glowing piece of fake treasure. From a distance, its natural brilliant yellow had looked exactly 24-karat gold. The dolphin was not guarding ancient wealth. It was just playing with a beautiful piece of the world above. Cheryl watched the dolphin swim away with its yellow leaf, feeling a deep sense of warmth and happiness. There was no pirate gold to bring it back to the boat. She felt incredibly rich anyway. As she began her slow ascent toward the waiting dive boat, a beautiful thought drifted into her mind, making her smile beneath their mask. She realized how beautifully connected the two worlds were. Humans spend their time diving deep into the ocean, fascinated by the sea, carefully collecting smooth seashells and colorful coral because they belong to the mysterious marine world. It was a way to take a piece of the ocean back home to the land with them. Perhaps dolphins did the same thing exact in the reverse. Cheryl wondered if this playful mammal was fascinated by the land, collecting fallen leaves from the world above simply because they belonged to the shore. To the dolphin, that bright yellow leaf was a rare, exotic token from a different realm. With a final glance at the pod, Cheryl broke the surface, carrying a story far better than gold. If this story affected you just as much as it did to me, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.